Hi guys, Rob here. Just want to share a bit about my story. People have been asking, so I'll do that now. So I was born in London. I grew up in 2 children's homes for the first 18 years of life. And those children's homes taught me everything about life. I was always the youngest kid. You know, it was pejoratively black in the children's home, but at school, I was the only black kid for the first 14 years at school, right? So at home, let's go back to home. I was an introverted kid. I was always the youngest when I was being bullied, right? I wanted to be a part of the older kids' experiences, but I wasn't accepted most of the time, right? So at home, I led this life of an introvert. This introverted kid who wouldn't say boo to a goose, who would suck these 2 fingers and spend lots of time by his own. You know, I used to think that, you know, I was born alone, I was in the world alone, and I would die alone, right? These were the three things that I lived by growing up, not realizing at the time the gift that was being bestowed upon me. Right. So now moving forward, you know, I realized that at school, I was great at sport, right? So I was playing basketball for England for a very young age. So that hand-eye ball coordination I had in huge amounts. So now this was very powerful for me because what I realized was this, right? So if you're really good at sport, then you get elevated, you get put onto a pedestal. And that pedestal is very difficult when you're being lauded for being the champion and so on, to be an introvert. So I embraced this actor, you know, this actor who pretended to be confident, who pretended to be, you know, like the life and soul of the party, the guys that would connect everybody together right now. So I had these 2 lives, introvert at home, being bullied and all the rest of that, and extrovert at school. So these 2 were beginning to come together to create something quite incredible. So what happened was this, right? So playing basketball for England, I didn't believe I could do it. I didn't believe I could. I was 15 years of age, but I worked for it. I wanted it. I wanted it more than life, right? And I was great at all sports, but that's a sport that I wanted to master. That was the one. And look, in other videos, I'll go into how I did that, but let's put it this way. I was able to do it. But that opened up like the lion's den, right? That opened up that strength, that power, that focus within me that serves me today. And that was simply this, you know, any glass ceiling that I put on top of myself was something which I put there myself, so therefore I could remove it myself. And by the sheer fact of making it to the England basketball team, then I started to really realize that this thing called life is about what you bring to it and what you want to do, your desire, your focus, your discipline, your power. This is what I began to learn. Right? So then after that, you know, I'm going through milestones here. There's lots more that happen in between, but the milestone was this, right? I didn't believe how I looked was acceptable to people. This was from the age of like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I had Caucasian values. So I would sit there with my mirror, pulling myself to pieces, my nose, my lips. I'll get I'll get a nose job, a lip job, right? I would go around like this. Why? Because it would narrow my nose, because I thought my nose was too broad. Caucasian values, right? So I had this incomplete self. So this drove me onto modeling because I wanted validation, right? So to cut a long story short, I ended up going to Milan. I end up becoming this model, right? And there's a great story behind it that I'll share with you another time. But what happened was I got into this agency which had all the supermodels in it. Naomi Campbell, Ava Herzigova, who else? Linda Evangelista, Christy Turlington, Marcus Schreckenberg, right? And in the midst of working with some of the most beautiful people in the world, I felt the most alone. I felt the most incomplete. I felt the most insecure. So I realized then that the validation for looking outside was never going to give me what I needed. It was always about the inside. And that started off a journey that led me to a journey of self-discovery, spending time with Indian enlightened gurus, spending time with other enlightened spiritual advisors, relationship coaches of all different descriptions. And that's where my life was beginning to take me. So that was a very valuable lesson that I learned. I went on to work with Madonna on one project. I went on to move and travel the world. I lived in Sydney. We had a business there, voted number 3 in the world. right? So for 20 years, I was connecting people, running nightclubs and bars, and I loved it because it reminded me of the kids' home. It reminded me of the fact that we used to fight like cats and dogs. It reminded me of the fact that no matter what our color, no matter what our ethnicity, our race, we were all one. So when we're in that kids' home, all these different kids from all different backgrounds and environments, when push came to shove, we would galvanize. We would come together to fight whatever it was that was facing all of us. At that point, I realized one really important thing. Unity is power. Unity is power. And to this very day now, one of the things which I love to do more than anything else is bring people together to showcase, those things that make us unique, but also to understand and to show us that actually underneath it all, we're all one. Unity is power, and people inspire people. I'll come back with part 2. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.